general questions. First being, tell me what it was like working on the X-Files.
Well, it was mostly joyous, you know. I mean, you don't you know, I've been doing this a long time, you know, and when you get to work on a show where the writing is good and the actors are terrific and people care about the show, you know, that it doesn't always work out that way. So it was fun. I really liked both uh, Gillian and David both very much.
What was can you tell us a little bit about your favorite parts of playing Bill Scully?
Um, I really liked those scenes in the hospital very much. I thought the writing was sort of ambiguous, and you know, there's always a question in my mind about how much or if Bill Scully was involved in the conspiracy at all. You know, I said some strange things. You know, the first time I even met Mulder, I say, I know something about you, which is a very peculiar thing to say to someone that you first met.
Right.
You know? That story never got played out, but it was fun to mess around with, at least in my head, you know. Listen, my favorite part of working on X-Files is that I think Gillian is a fantastic actor, one of the best actors I ever worked with. So, and I personally was very fond of her. I just sort of fell for her right away. You know, she's very hardworking, which I admire. I like actors who come prepared and who know what they're doing, and then you know, she's prepared to a level to where then you could play and invent on the set. You know, a lot of actors who were, you know, stars know their lines only sort of a little bit, and then they and they kind of stuck in what they want to do, and you have to deal with that. But somebody of her caliber, you know, it's a different deal working with somebody of her level. You know.
Nice. I'm gonna step off a question. The episodes Christmas Carol and Emily, which were such a huge two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
You were such a strong character in that, being not only the big brother, but while your character's wife was pregnant and all that.
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit about those episodes and what it was like working on something that was so deep in the mythology of the show, but also, you know, so emotional as well.
Well, it was a very difficult time for me. My father was dying while I was shooting those episodes in Florida. So I was flying from Vancouver to Florida to be with my father during that time. And then when I was called back, I would just fly straight back from Florida and be on the set. And so, you know, that played into it a lot for me. My father died while we were filming. We were shooting the funeral scene for the child that day. My father died that morning, and then, you know, you would think that would be very difficult. Of course, your father dying is, of course, difficult. But as an actor, I was sort of, I just sort of was, you know, just sort of hollowed out and sort of walked through the day pretty much. But you know, I really as a family, we were very close, you know, Sheila and Gillian, and I'm blanking on the name of the woman who played my wife, who was very kind to me. What's her name? Do you remember?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. I could look it up. I can't remember.
But she ended up having a really fabulous career. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that was a kind of a difficult time for me. But the I thought those episodes were really great, and Gillian was really great in those episodes. So I was, you know, proud to play my little bit in it as best I could, you know.
Carrie Turner is the name.
Carrie, yes. She took me out for dinner, and after that day of the shooting the funeral thing and got me pretty drunk, as I recall.
Nice.
So kind of hurt because I
good.
was kind of messed up that day. But
Your character's notorious for obvious your pure hatred towards Mulder. How did you play it so well when you say David was such a great guy?
well, um, yeah, in a situation like that, you use your own experience, and I have a sister, and and I have very strong feelings for my sister, and so it's not a major stretch if someone is hurting your sister that you won't like them very much, um, and there are techniques that we use as actors. You can always look at somebody if you look at somebody you love even, for a brief moment in time, and you can always find something you don't like about somebody, even a stranger, right off the bat.
Sure.
So you just play to that. But these scenes between men are scenes about power. Almost all movie scenes between two men, are about power. And so those scenes were not so much about, in my mind, about me hating him or anything like that. It was who was the strongest, who has a bigger claim to Scully between the two of us, right?
Could you have ever imagined that when you were filming your episodes that you'd be still talking about it 25 years later, that the show would still be relevant?
No, not at all. Although I have to say, I was a fan of the show before I went on it, and I watched quite a number of episodes, not all of them, but a lot of them. And at that time, the internet was just starting to be a thing, and there were there were all sorts of chat rooms and people talking about it quite a lot, it was something I learned when I was doing the show. I didn't even know that such a thing really existed, and so the enormous amount of public interest in this show was far eclipsed any other show I had ever done. I mean, ER was one of the most popular and long-running shows of all time, but nobody talks about it today, really.
I still
Not
do
really.
Just Carly.
Just my claim. It's my only claim to fame.
No, but I mean, but not like this. People
No.
aren't calling.
No.
People don't. People don't call and ask for interviews, and people. There aren't like I'm in a Facebook group with a bunch of X-Files people who found me, and they're really great people. So I like them all, but they're all over the country, all over the world. And I mean, one year they sent me a birthday present, and it's kind of great. The fandom is great, and so it doesn't surprise me. And they're all young. A lot of them are quite a bit younger. I mean, it's been a long time, and you ask them, well, how old were you when the show came on? And some of them were 4.
Yeah.
We
were 9 and 10, so.
Yeah, so that's still young though to be watching that show.
The show brings across the globe. It's really great. It must be amazing to be part of something like that. Can you tell us a little bit about how you feel being part of such a, like you said, the fandom and the people on Facebook and the groups at the cons? I mean, how do you feel about all that?
Well, it's fun. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of involvement. I mean, Bill Scully is a sort of, detested character by many of the fans. So I don't get invited to go and sign autographs or those kinds of things, although I could use the money, so if they need me, I'll show up. But it's nice to be known for something. I've done so many TV shows, and so many of them I don't even remember them. It's funny when you talk about a show that was on 25 years ago, and I think of all the shows that I did back then, and very, very few of them are remembered even at all. But it's funny. The people that I've met through this Facebook group, I like them a lot. They're it's nice to have acquaintances with people who don't do this for a living and who are going about their lives and who for one reason or another really like this show. Anyway, it's that's been a real highlight for me. It's not something I hadn't thought about the show much in a long time, but when the new episodes came out, was a whole resurgence of people going back and catching up and rewatching the shows. So.
I mean, I will say I did when the show. I was in college when the show ended, and I was then about. What is your most memorable moment of the show, either in front of, or behind the camera?
Well, there are lots. I mean, I remember Gillian being really mad one morning when they had changed the script the night before and had not delivered her the new script, and so and she had a lot of words that day. A lot. We all did. We had a lot of words, and they had changed quite a lot of it. When we get there, and they handed it to us. And I just remember she was sitting in the makeup chair, and I had just gotten in there, and the PA's name was Patrick, and she's quiet, I said hi, and she says hi, and she's sort of leafing through the script, and then she goes, Patrick, like at the top of her lungs. I scared the crap out of me, and then I realized that she called this kid in. He was quaking in his boots, and they changed our whole script without telling us. Which isn't, as much work as she has to do. It's completely unfair. It makes for a very long day to have to learn new dialogue. So, but yeah, that was pretty funny though.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans of the show, who have been there for the last 25 years or who have binge watched the last 25 years? What would you say to the fans of the show?
Well, I'm grateful for that you watched. I'm grateful to have played a small part in your pleasure. The whole the intensity that people feel about this show always surprises me. So, I'm really, really fortunate in the last couple of years to have become acquainted with a lot of the people, because, I'm lived in a very quiet part of the industry. I just sort of go and do my job, and very seldom do I ever come in contact with any fans. Particularly, I get asked for autographs by the mail and stuff, and that occasionally somebody will ask me if I've been on the show. But the people who are fans of the show are in a club of nice people. That has been my observation, and so I'm grateful to be included in a group of nice people.
But I guess the last thing would be: is there anything that you would want to add to your experience on the show, or anything your fans or you're working with? Any particular? When we spoke to Jeff, he was talking about some of the directors he enjoyed working with, or anything that comes to mind that we didn't touch upon.
No, the directors I worked with, they were all really super professional. And I'm trying. I probably should have looked up beforehand all their names, because it kind of is missing out. I know Kim Manners was one.
Yeah.
And he's gone, right?
He passed away almost a decade ago, I think.
Yeah, he was working. I believe he was working on the episode that I was doing when my father died. He was very kind to me, and I believe his name was Rob. Do you know?
Yeah, Goodwin. Or
Yeah,
Bowman. Rob Bowman.
Bowman. Bowman. He and I played golf together a couple times.
Oh, really?
That was pretty fun. I really liked. I really liked Sheila's husband. Um, who was the producer?
It was? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh. See, you're teaching us things. This is stuff we don't know.
Right, he was the producer. His name was Rob. It was Rob. You said his name.
Not Bowman. R.W. Goodwin. Bob Goodwin.
Bob Goodwin.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, because it was R.W.
He and Sheila were at least at the time married. I assume they still are. I don't know, but yeah, he was very, very, very kind to me during the shooting of it, because you come onto a show like this and everybody has a relationship, and you're the new guy, and it can be somewhat intimidating at times. Like you go onto a show like West Wing and everybody talks really quickly and they have a relationship, and the thing is they're so used to it, and you're sort of jump on like it's a moving train. But if you come on for one episode, it's one thing. But if you come in and you're supposed to be part of a family, that is a steeper challenge, and so. Feeling my way into that world and what exactly this family was like. We were just inventing it as we went along, and he was very kind to me. She was great. She's just, she's just this, warm-hearted, kind person. So she had a great relationship with Gillian. So I just sort of folded into the mix with that one, but.
They just did very emotional.
It was really good. I as I say, David was very, very nice to me, and Jillian, I just loved her. I just like a sister. She just, she there's something about her that I really responded to it as a person.
That's awesome.
So that's not always the case, but.
Sure. It's not always the case. When you find it, you're very lucky. That's what I've learned.